They say wrestling is fake. They say it's all scripted. They say these superstars are just actors playing a part. But tell me something, how do you script a broken heart? How do you rehearse the moment when Triple H, the Game, the 14-time world champion, the man who has stared down legends and monsters alike, has to stand before the world with tears in his eyes, mourning another fallen brother, another warrior taken too soon, another family shattered, another dream cut short by the very thing that gave them life, their heart? This isn't entertainment anymore. This is a tragedy that keeps repeating itself, and we're all sitting here watching it happen again and again. And if you're not angry about what I'm about to tell you, then you're not paying attention. Main content, 0:30 to 12 o'clock. The wrestling world woke up to devastating news that sent shockwaves through every locker room, every arena, and every fan's heart across the globe. A sudden heart failure. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. And Triple H, the man who has buried more friends than anyone should ever have to, is once again forced to deliver a tribute instead of sharing a ring. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this before you answer in the comments. How many more legends do we have to lose before someone actually does something about the elephant in the room? Drop your thoughts below, because this conversation needs to happen now. The statement from Triple H hit different this time. You could feel the weight of every word, the exhaustion of grief that's become far too familiar. He spoke about a warrior, a friend, someone who gave everything to this business. Someone who made us believe in the impossible every single time they stepped through those ropes. But here's what makes this absolutely infuriating. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not now. Not like this. Heart failure. Two words that have haunted professional wrestling for decades. Two words that have taken away some of the most iconic names in sports entertainment history. Eddie Guerrero, Owen Hart, the Ultimate Warrior, Vader. The list goes on, and it keeps growing. These weren't just performers. These were fathers, sons, brothers, husbands, and heroes to millions. And their hearts, the very organs that symbolized their passion and dedication to wrestling, became their ultimate betrayal. The cruel irony isn't lost on anyone who truly understands this business. These athletes push their bodies to limits that most people can't even comprehend. 300 days a year on the road, different city every night, performing through injuries that would hospitalize normal people. The bumps, the pain, the pressure to always be bigger, stronger, more impressive than the last guy. And what does it cost them? Everything. Triple H knows this better than anyone. He's lived it. He's seen friends and rivals alike pay the ultimate price. And now, as the man behind the curtain in WWE, he's forced to confront these demons not just as a performer, but as someone who has the power to make changes. The question is, will this be the tragedy that finally forces the industry to take a hard look in the mirror? Here's something I want you to think about and comment below. Do you believe WWE and other wrestling promotions are doing enough to protect their wrestlers' health, or is it all just talk? Be honest, the human body wasn't designed for what professional wrestlers put it through. Imagine lifting hundreds of pounds repeatedly, night after night. Imagine throwing yourself onto canvas-covered plywood from heights that would make most people nauseous. Imagine the impact, the strain, the constant state of inflammation your body exists in. Now add to that the pressure to maintain a certain physique, to look like a superhero stepped out of a comic book, the temptation to use performance enhancers, pain medications just to get through the night, stimulants to keep going when your body is screaming for rest. The heart, that magnificent muscle that keeps us alive, can only take so much. And when you're asking it to pump blood through a body that's 250, 280, 300 pounds of muscle, while also dealing with the stress hormones, the travel, the lack of sleep, the dietary chaos of life on the road, something has to give. And too often, it gives without warning. Triple H's tribute wasn't just words. It was a raw, unfiltered glimpse into the soul of someone who has lost too many people he cared about. You could hear it in his voice, see it in his expression. This is a man who has everything: success, family, legacy, power. But none of that matters when you're attending another funeral. None of that brings back the people who made this business what it is. What makes this particularly heartbreaking is that we've been here before. After Eddie Guerrero's death in 2005, there were promises. After the Chris Benoit tragedy in 2007, there were reforms. WWE implemented wellness programs, cardiac screenings, substance abuse policies. Other promotions followed suit to varying degrees. But here we are, nearly 2 decades later, and hearts are still failing. Wrestlers are still dying too young. The uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to talk about is this: professional wrestling, as we know it and love it, might be fundamentally incompatible with long, healthy lives. The schedule is brutal. The physical demands are extreme. The pressure to perform at the highest level, to entertain millions, to be larger than life, it extracts a toll that we often don't see until it's too late. And let me ask you this, wrestling's own family, what would you rather have, your favorite wrestler performing every single week, or your favorite wrestler alive to see their grandchildren? Comment below, because this is the real conversation we need to be having. Triple H himself is a testament to how dangerous this business can be. He's had a quad tear that would have ended most careers. He's dealt with injuries that required multiple surgeries, and in recent years, he suffered a cardiac event that required serious medical intervention and forced him into retirement from in-ring competition. The man literally had a brush with the very thing that has now taken another member of the wrestling family. He understands, on a visceral level, just how fragile life can be, but understanding isn't enough anymore. Sympathy isn't enough. Tributes and 10-bell salutes and tearful interviews aren't enough. At some point, the industry has to reckon with what it's asking of these performers and whether the cost is simply too high. The current generation of wrestlers, by many accounts, has it better than those who came before. Medical care is more advanced. Wellness programs exist. There's more awareness about concussions, substance abuse, and mental health. Schedules, in some promotions, are less grueling than they were in the territory days or during the Attitude Era. But better doesn't mean good enough. Not when we're still losing people to preventable conditions. Here's the reality that's going to make some of you uncomfortable. Every time you chant "this is awesome" at a particularly brutal spot, every time you demand more extreme matches, every time you compare current stars unfavorably to the past and say they are not tough enough, you're contributing to a culture that pushes these performers to risk everything for your entertainment. I'm not saying don't enjoy wrestling. I'm saying we all need to think about what we're willing to accept as fans. What are we comfortable asking these performers to sacrifice for our enjoyment? Quick question for the comments: what's one thing you think could be changed in professional wrestling to make it safer for the wrestlers while still keeping it entertaining? Let's brainstorm together. Triple H, in his role as WWE's Chief Content Officer, has the opportunity to lead real change. He's been there, he's felt the pressure, he's lost friends, he knows what needs to happen. The question is whether the business side of wrestling will allow for the kind of reforms that might actually save lives, even if it means potentially reducing the spectacle that drives ratings and ticket sales. This isn't just about WWE, either. This is an industry-wide crisis that requires industry-wide solutions. Independent promotions, international companies, every organization that puts performers in a ring needs to prioritize long-term health over short-term profits. That means mandatory cardiac screenings. That means enforced rest periods. That means limiting dangerous spots and moves that have no business being performed on a regular basis. That means having the courage to tell a wrestler no when they want to push beyond what's safe. The wrestling community always comes together in moments like this. Social media fills with tributes from current stars and legends alike. Fans share their favorite memories. Everyone talks about how much this person meant to them, how their matches inspired them, how they'll never be forgotten. And all of that is beautiful and necessary. Grief needs to be expressed. Legacies need to be honored. But then what? In a few weeks, the news cycle moves on. The shows continue. New stars emerge. And slowly, gradually, we all go back to treating wrestling like it's just entertainment, just a show, just guys pretending to fight. Until the next tragedy. Until the next sudden death. Until the next time Triple H has to stand before cameras and mourn another fallen warrior. Call to action, 12 o'clock to 13:30. How many more times are we going to do this? How many more tributes? How many more vigils? How many more families torn apart? The wrestling business has always been described as a family, and that's true in many ways. But families protect each other. Families make sure everyone gets home safe. Families don't sacrifice their members on the altar of entertainment and profit. Triple H's pain is real. His grief is genuine. And his position gives him the power to make changes that could save lives. But he can't do it alone. The entire industry needs to wake up. Promoters need to prioritize health. Wrestlers need to listen to their bodies and have the courage to say no. And fans, we need to demand better. We need to support changes even when they make wrestling a little less extreme, a little less death-defying. Because here's the truth, I'd rather watch a wrestler perform at 80% knowing they'll be alive to perform next year, than watch them give 110% knowing it might be their last match. And if you disagree with that, I genuinely want to know why. Comment below and let's have this difficult conversation. Closing, 13:30. Enter the wrestler who has passed, whose name and legacy will forever be etched in the hearts of fans worldwide. Thank you. Thank you for the memories, the matches, the moments that made us believe in magic. Thank you for your sacrifice, even though no one should have had to sacrifice so much. You will be remembered not just for what you did in the ring, but for the lives you touched and the standard you set. To Triple H and everyone in the wrestling world dealing with this loss, we see your pain. We share your grief. And we stand with you in demanding that this has to be the last time. No more, not one more. Wrestling Zone family, hit that like button if this video made you think. Subscribe if you want to be part of a community that demands better for the wrestlers we love. Share this video because this conversation needs to reach everyone in the wrestling world. And most importantly, drop your comments below. Tell me what you think needs to change. Tell me your favorite memory of the fallen wrestler. Tell me if you agree or if you think I'm completely wrong. Because if we're not willing to have these tough conversations,